We are thankful each and every morning to have a little something we call a chat with Pat.
Yes, and today we have with us Stephen White. Stephen White is the Executive Director of the Catholic Project at the Catholic University of America and a fellow in Catholic Studies at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. He wrote an article for the Catholic Thing called Why We March. Welcome, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Pat. How are you?
I am fine. Hey, did you get to the March for Life this year?
Absolutely. My family and I went down, saw lots of the marchers, saw lots of friends, made some new ones. It was wonderful.
So what did anything stand out to you? I take it by reading your article, obviously, which we're going to get to. You've been doing this for a while, obviously, attending the march. So did anything stand out to you this year is different from past marches?
Yeah, it wasn't snowing this year. It didn't snow until a day or two later. The weather was good. It was lovely marching weather, and it was great to see everyone out there.
That's great. So, Stephen, you make the statement as you open this article that this march is more than political activism, and I think that's how a lot of people view it. Oh, there they are again. They're just a bunch of political activists. Can you tell us how it is more than just political activism?
Well, I think it's clear that the march started largely as that, and I don't want to denigrate political activism.
Right.
It's really important, and it's a necessary part of the movement. But I think especially now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned, and that singular focus on accomplishing that feat is gone, I think it's really important for the pro-life movement to have something that continues to bring them together and to focus on a much more difficult task, which is to stay united without that unifying force of Roe. And so, I was trying to think through, what else does the movement need to take seriously? Or those of us who consider ourselves pro-life or part of the pro-life movement, what do we need to be considering? Yes, there's that political activism, but there's a whole range of other concerns that we should keep in mind as we go to the March for Life once a year or once a decade, or even as we work in our own parishes and neighborhoods. So I wanted to think through what are the other things that we need to keep in mind as we think about the March for Life, the pro-life cause generally.
So what are some of those things that we should be aware of over and above since, like you said, Roe v. Wade has been overturned? I know there is the statewide kind of, I don't want to say activism, but the statewide political movement to try to, change statewide laws. But what else should we be aware of?
Like citizenship in general, I think most of the work that we do to protect life and to help children and mothers happens outside of the voting box, right?
Right.
Getting involved in pro-life ministries in our parishes, working in our neighborhoods. I'm not someone who talks a lot about seamless garment or consistent ethic of life, but I think it is important for us to be consistent in our defense of human dignity. That just makes our pro-life witness more credible. And again, that can be manifest through politics or political choices or voting. But I think most importantly, and something each one of us do every single day, is to make sure that we're living that way in our families, in our communities, in our jobs. So we're being a witness to human dignity every day, so that when it comes to an acute issue like a crisis pregnancy in a coworker or something like that, the credibility of our witness is already well established. There's that much more chance to stand up for life.
So, people should really become aware of what is happening in their communities, right? So the idea of how can they be a part of pro-life ministries, not only in their parish, but maybe crisis pregnancy centers, things like that, correct? I mean, is that kind of another way for us to kind of, okay, we know the political stuff's going on, but this is a more personal approach for us in this whole issue of pro-life?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not an either or, it's a both and.
Right.
I think it's also important to understand that, the damage that abortion has done over the last 50 years as legal abortion, it's not just to the lives of the innocents, it's not just to mothers and families, but it hurts the whole of society. It coarsens our politics, it poisons our politics, it coarsens our society. And there's a spiritual burden that we all share part of this community, this nation. And this wound is something that affects us all. And I think there's a spiritual reality that we should not shy away from addressing and offering penance when is appropriate for that too, of this community to which we belong that has been so wounded by these sins for so long.
And you make mention too of the cost of relationships between men and women and desolation of families, and that certainly we're seeing that more and more in the sense of The marriage rate has fallen overall, all these kinds of things. And there seems to be a lot of tension between men and women versus, how do we kind of cooperate in the joy of what God has created here. And it's certainly, I think we just had Pete Range on, and he said, that 42% of the families just in the state of Ohio do not have a dad living with them. How do you connect that to abortion?
Well, I think the obvious thing about abortion is it strikes at the heart of the family, at what makes the family a family, what the purpose of the family is, which is not just the union of spouses, but the begetting and rearing of children. And abortion is right at the heart of that, and destroys security and trust, and teaches us that people are expendable, which is, it's hard to have a society of trust and love when we know from our actions or from the actions of our neighbors that sometimes when people are expendable that they are expended. And I think it can seem intractable. You look at the abortion statistics, you look at the struggles in the family, you look at the family statistics you just mentioned. How do you overcome something that's so society-wide, something that's so deeply ingrained in our culture? And I think those sort of seemingly unwinnable wars, we have to remember that victory has been won. It's not something that we can overcome. We can't wash away the blood of 60 or 70 million abortions over 50 years. We can't, of our own, heal the pain and suffering of so many broken marriages, so damaged families, so much loss of trust. We can't fix that on ourselves. Jesus can. That's what he came to do. And we could do our own part, not only to share that good news, but to join our own sacrifices, our own sufferings with his. And so we could participate in that work of winning that great victory, which we're hopeless and helpless to achieve ourselves. But there is a hope. It won't necessarily pan out in our own time or in the way we would like to see, but we know that victory has been won. And so that can let us address these seemingly impossible, intractable problems without losing hope. And we can come at it joyful, and even with a sense of gratitude that we can be part of bringing healing where there's been so much pain.
And we certainly have the opportunity, don't we, this year when President Trump talks about rededicating the country to God, and the U.S. bishops are rededicating the country to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. These are reminders for us that like you said, God has already done this, right? We are called to participate in it.
Yeah, I think that's the trick is that the work of grace is not something we accomplish, but it's something that we are invited to participate in. That's humbling, but I think humility and gratitude go together. So I think being grateful for what's been accomplished for us, and makes us that gratitude sort of can't but spill out to other people. To extend to others that sense of gratitude in humility, because the salvation Christ offers us comes unmerited. We don't deserve it, and so we can bring that sort of the message of mercy and hope that comes without strings attached. It's offered to everybody, no matter how scarlet the skin. So that's a real message of hope. I think.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Stephen, for being with us today, and have a great week ahead.
Thanks, Pat. My pleasure.
Bye-bye.